yesterday was a great event, but it's square to where you think you are, you're going to screw something up. And the first person who gives me direct, immediate feedback is Angie. So by the time you all started dissipating, and she looks at me, she said, you forgot this, you forgot that, you didn't do this. And I'm like, man, you're exactly right.
Don't go there.
So, yeah, so I'm going to right the wrong. And so I took some notes this time so I don't forget what I was supposed to do yesterday. So just because I'm doing it today, I don't want you to think it's any lesser of an impact to me in my life and things like that. But I had to write them down so I didn't forget, because this is the last time I get to speak to you all in a group. So, glasses on. Can't see anymore. What I missed yesterday. So, Angie. So a lot of people don't know what happened between Angie and I with being in the military and why she retired and things like that. And I'll tell you, 2004 was kind of hard for us. So I went to Iraq in January 2004, and she got hit with Afghanistan in 2004. So we had taken the kids to my in-laws to watch Dane and Kenneth. And while I was deployed, Angie was supposed to deploy. And then she had to go through a couple of medical type things before she ended up deploying. I got back from Afghanistan in August. Just like General Kelly said, I stayed there for about a month and a half. And then I'd asked, could I go and deploy to Afghanistan so I could link up with Angie. The reason I didn't stay in Hawaii is because you can't have your children on island being a JTAC, because you went TDYs back to the mainland too often. So every 90 days I had to be back and forth to the mainland, and I couldn't have the 2 kids by myself and do that. So what we decided was the kids go to our in-laws, and then I just deployed to Afghanistan, easier for the family as a whole. What that did to us as a family, though, it separated us for 16 months. We were separated for 16 months as a family, and it took us almost a year to get back right after we returned from Afghanistan. So after that deployment, Angie told me, she said, you know what? She says, you can stay in the military, but I'm going to get assigned someplace where I'm not going to deploy again, and I'm going to retire in 20 years. At the time, she was at 16 or 17 years in the military. She said, I'm going to retire at 20. So what it really did was, she was an E7 at the time, so she did not compete for E8 for really 2.5, 3 years, where she said, I don't want my records to go forward, I am done, I'm retired. Because she knew if she made E8, she was going to go to a division, and then we're on this same cycle again with deployments. So she made a conscious decision for the family to say, I'm not going to get promoted anymore, I'm going to retire at 20, and I'll follow you. So every time I think about that, what you really did, Angie, is you sacrificed your career for my career. You did 20 years, but you sacrificed your own career for mine. And then I got to tell you, that's a level of care and commitment that few people would do. So thank you for that. Many people don't even know, well, she, Sergeant First Class, okay, get it. But they don't know that she stopped competing 16 years in, just for the family. So thank you for that. And we don't talk about it much. We just know that's what we kind of do as a family. But I'll tell you, ever since you hung your hat up, you followed and supported me throughout. And I really appreciate you for that. All the accomplishments that kind of happened, people talk about. So team dies. Let me just really quick. This is how Angie, the Army soldier, conformed to Air Force life.
Oh.
So when I got to Dyess Air Force Base, that was Angie's first time being assigned with me where she was not in the military, where she wasn't in the Army. And there was a lot of things about the Air Force she didn't understand. Just like all Army people, they're brainwashed. Angie told me when we got to Dyess, she was asking me, why does the Air Force do things this way? I'm like, well, Angie, what do you think? Well, the Army does it like this. We're not in the Army, but they still should do it this way. And we go back and forth with this all the time. I'm like, you don't understand. You're like my dad called me Sergeant Major. You just don't get it. So we go back and forth with that. But this is when I realized how special Angie was and how she really understood military life and really how to be a military spouse. And it was at an ALS graduation for Airman Leadership School. We're at the graduation, and I'm the command chief. I know everybody on base. One base, one boss, 3,500 airmen. I got everybody. I'm good. And we go into this ALS graduation, and typically Angie and I would separate for a little bit. We'd come back together at some point. When it's time to sit down, I get the, hey, chief, time to go sit down. I'd get Angie, hey, we have to go sit down. So I recall going toward the back of the club, And Angie's talking to people, and I'm like, we gotta go sit down. That's what I'm thinking. We gotta go sit down. And what I remember is a group of spouses, male and female, around Angie. And by the time I make it to her, I'm looking at these spouses. I'm like, who walked in? She's like, oh, that's so-and-so's wife, that's so-and-so's husband. And they all gravitated around Angie just because of the friendship and bond that she had made. So she had more friends at Dias than I had as the command chief. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So that really just showed that she was fully engaged with the Air Force, and she learned a lot of things about the Air Force at Dias Air Force Base. Thank you for that. All right. My mother-in-law. All right, I put too much stuff over here. I don't have Sasha helping you. All right, turn that. I think I got it. I saw what it said. I'm glasses on. I forgot to give you that yesterday because I'll be forgetful sometimes. But really, and this is for my mother and father-in-law. When my mom and dad passed away, I'll tell you, just like Brian said, it was he and I. That's what we felt. It was he and I, and the elders in our family all passed away. So it became my brother and I. And my mother and father-in-law, they took me along. I mean, they will tell you right now I'm their son. And from day one, they've always called me their son. They knew my mom and dad's wishes, and I'll tell you, all have always been supportive of me in whatever I've done. When people talk about, in-laws, outlaws, all that kind of stuff, we've never had that relationship. We've never had that relationship. You all have left me in your house by myself, leave Kenneth there, he'll be fine, and you all will go out for 10, 15 hours and do whatever, and you all trusted me in your house when nobody was there. That's a special relationship. So thank you all for that. Mama Hendricks! Man, I forgot to give you flowers yesterday. And I got chewed out for that pretty bad. And I didn't even know why. So Mr. and Mrs. Hendricks, they talked about us earlier. This is the couple that we've known since, third grade, probably even before that. But we lived together between Oklahoma and Germany, really our entire childhood life, up until I graduated from high school. But just the support, and to think that you all came away from Delaware to be at my ceremony when you're not my biological parents, that means the world. So the least I could do is give you flowers. So thank you so much. All right, Daddy Hendricks. I know you don't have no Air Force in your life at all. You lucky it's not your road, because I remember you hit some people too. So actually, Mr. Hendricks, him and my dad were they've crossed paths several times when they were in the Army. Again, the same duty locations and all that kind of stuff. Army soldier, true and true. And you talk about old school soldier. I know that Mr. Hendricks took some folks in the back. There's no doubt in my mind he threw a couple blows at some people. We're not talking about it, but I know you have. But really what I want to give you, and I'll tell you, it's not significant when you just look at what it is, but what I want you to think about it is who it's from and what it means to me. So this is my command chief going for the last organization that I was part of, the Air Force Personnel Center. And really what I want you to do with it is you need to set it someplace amongst your Army coins. Because it's the Air Force, and the only Air Force coin you have, I want you to put it up top. When people ask you questions about it, just say, oh, that's my son, you don't need my hat. Whatever you want to say, but just leave it there, don't touch it, leave it alone, we don't want to talk about it. Because I hadn't truly recognized it yet. But no, just thank you for being a role model and just, one of those elders in our lives who always showed us what we should be doing right and wrong. Yeah. All right, Papa Clyde, I got you a call, a gift bag, and I got you a coin as well. So I tell you about my father-in-law. He never served in the military, but every time we talk, he'll talk about, I'm a city guy, he's a country guy, and when I first met Angie, just like Maine said, he looked me up and down and was this city dude, boy, you're gonna be slick talking and all this kind of stuff. I knew that was going on, and I think the first time we communicated, there was a disconnect just a little bit because I'm city, I'm New Orleans, you follow Alabama, and I don't hunt and I don't fish and I don't do all those kinds of things. But I'll tell you, really not even over years, very quickly, we got in sync. And I have some of the funnest times in places with them that I never even imagined that I would be. The first time I went to their house, they live in the country. We go to their house, and I'm like, what do y'all do here? Like, what goes on? and her dad kind of took me outside, and we sat on the porch, and they live right off of Highway 431, and we probably watched 1,000 cars go by. I'm the city guy, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. This is what we're gonna be doing for the next 20, 30 years. Every time I come in, we're doing this. Today, if I go to their house, he and I are gonna do some stuff in the yard. We're gonna talk a little bit, we might shoot a little guns, but we're gonna end up on that porch. And we're gonna sit and we're gonna drink a little bit, and we're gonna talk about life, and we're gonna watch cars go by. And I love being in that environment because I'm completely at peace. And so really for today, you not in the military, not a city person, you have no idea how much stuff you just taught me as a man. If you talk about someone who is a hard-working individual, my God, he is a hard-working person. Just today, this morning, I'm putting together a doggone pressure washer. And you know the zip ties that are on it? So us city folk, when something's zip tied, what you do? Done with it. And so the cable's wrapped up, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and my father-in-law takes the cable, and I'm putting the pressure washer together, and I'm like, what the heck's he doing with this cable? He's kind of messing with it and stuff, and I'm thinking I gotta get the scissors because I need that cable in a second. And about 2 minutes later, those zip ties come off. And I'm like, what you doing? How'd you do that? What's going on? He says, oh, if you look at the little notch in there, you stick your finger in it, you push it down, you can open it up. But he says, what he tells me, he goes, if I see a zip tie that's used, that's on something, he will take zip ties off and reuse them. And I'm like, holy crap, I don't think that, I'm like, cut it off, another one. So you talk about resourceful, you talk about MacGyver, my father-in-law is MacGyver. So just thank you for just showing me how to be a man, how to want for more, but just really how to be genuine and how to do the right thing all the time, because you're always the role model and the example of that. So thank you. So my kids, and I think I may end on my kids. So Kenneth talked for a while. Dana never talks. Let me see. That's our baby. So Dana never talks. Dana's actually more like me. But I'll tell you, man, she's a hard individual. Dana's hard. Your boyfriend, the guy over here, the cool butterfly, social butterfly, that joke is softer than his dog. Big crying heartbeat. So here's what I'll tell you about our kids, and I think of it more and more when I look at Angie and I being in the military. My dad was in the military, and my dad was a hard, stern man. Yeah. He did not play. So when we used to get those mini whippings that John Clay talked about, this is some of the comments my dad would tell my brother and I. Assume the position. You did not like to hear that. Because all that meant was drop your pants, get on your knees, put your dang stomach over the bed, and I'm gonna commence to whipping you. And my dad used to smoke. And what he would do is he would whip our butt while he was smoking. So he would hit us with the belt, we squirm a little bit, he'd take a puff, and he said, don't move. He'd blow the smoke, and here you go, whack. And he just continued on. What I laugh about is when I think about my parents, but my dad in particular, is my brother and I never thought we were abused children. We weren't abused. We deserved like 95% of things. We just deserved it, and that's just kind of how we were as people. Yep, we're going to get a whipping for this one, and we would just do it. Brian, like you said, he got whipped a lot more than me because I learned a little bit quicker. So there are some things I got away with that he didn't get away with. Back to our kids, though. So we had one parent in the military, my dad, and if dad had a bad day, everyone's going to have a bad day. But with you two, you guys survived with two parents in the military. And now it makes sense to me, some of the frustrations that you all have, because now I'm sitting there saying, well, holy crap, dad comes home mad, mom comes home mad, both in the military, I got no place to go. And so I kind of understand now how you all probably felt that way from time to time. What I'll tell you is it's hard to grow up in a military family. One, because of all the moves, learning new friends and all those kinds of things, but you all have actually done it really well. Both of you are very successful in your own ways. And then what I want you to do is trail your own paths. Something that Kenneth did, and this is where, well, I'll tell you as a parent, as a grandparent, listen to your children. So we're going to Dyess Air Force Base, and I'm supposed to be there in January of 2012. He was going to school in North Carolina, and Angie and I came up with this grand plan of, let's separate. You go to Dyess in January. I'll stay here with him until May so he can get out of school, and then we'll move. What the issue was, there were different schedules from North Carolina to Texas, and if he went to Texas, he had to start over a whole bunch of different classes. He was an AP student, so we didn't want to do that. So Angie and I talked for about 2 or 3 weeks. We came up with this fabulous plan on how we're going to do this move, and everything's going to be right. And then we presented to Kenneth. He's in the 10th grade at the time, and we said, all right, this is what we're doing. I'm leaving in January. I'm going to Texas. You're going to stay with your mom. When you get out of school in May, you guys are going to go up to Texas, and we'll see you in June. And he looks at us, and he's like, well, what are y'all talking about? Not taking you to Texas because you got to repeat classes, and we don't want to do it. And he goes, well, why can't I repeat classes? We don't want you to do it. It's not good for you, and all these kinds of things. And what he told us when he was in the 10th grade, he said, I want to go to Texas when you guys go. I want to go as a family, and you let me worry about repeating my classes. So we PCS to Dyess as a family, and he ended up retaking classes that he had already taken because he wanted us to all be a unit going to Texas. So just think of the level of maturity for a child to say, no, you guys made a decision for me that was a bad decision. This is really what I want to do because of the family. So, hats off to you for thinking like that. You've always kind of been a person who thinks ahead of your time. You can interact with people older and things like that. But to my children, God, we appreciate y'all. We're proud of you. You can mess up 1,000 times. We're going to be right there for you. And we're going to push you all until the end. That's just what parents do. Thank you all. Hey, to the crowd. Did I forget anything else? Did I forget anything else? Because I can't. This is it. I don't want you to let me go look it over here to take it. I don't want to mess this one up now. Let me see. 1, 2. You can. Give you a thumbs up, Ken. You sure? Okay. Hey, to the crowd for one last time. I mean, all the nice words and kind gestures and all that kind of stuff. I think all of us realize, especially where we're at in the military, in your civilian sectors and things like that, there's never one person that does all these things that we say. It's one person that adds to the team, and then you make the team better, or you can make the team lag behind. All these folks in this room, everyone from Weena, from way back when, to everyone who's we crossed paths with along the way, you all are in here. The 132, I think is what it was, 132 of you, is because Angie and I feel something special about you all in our lives. And we wanted you to be here, but you all are the reasons why people believe I'm successful. The bottom line is I've surrounded myself around great people, so it's easy to excel when you surround yourself around a whole bunch of people who are excelling anyways. So thank you all for that. General Kelly, I'm getting so many doggone comments about what you said yesterday and how you remember stuff. So here's the truth.
He doesn't remember anything else.
So here's the truth. General Van Herk, who was going to preside over my ceremony, called me Monday, and he said, Chief, I got terrible news. I cannot preside over your ceremony because of what's going on in D.C. And I'd already talked to General Kelly in advance and just talked about him being a part of my ceremony. So when General Van Herk told me that, I'm like, okay, well, I'll reach out to General Kelly and see if he can preside over my ceremony. I reached out to General Kelly. I sent him a text earlier that day, and we talked on the phone at about 1800, 5 or 6 o'clock for you retired people. 5 or 6 o'clock that evening, we talked on the phone, and I told him what was going on because General Van Herk hadn't talked to him yet. And he goes, absolutely, I'll do it, Chief. And he says, matter of fact, I'll go to General Van Herk's house now, and I'll talk to him. The next day, I stopped by the office, and my assistant tells me that General Kelly needs all of my enlisted evaluation reports and all of my declarations. It was 100 and something documents that I sent to him on Tuesday night. On Tuesday night, I sent him all that information, and what you heard yesterday was from me giving him that stuff on Tuesday. So when I talk about being a MADS commander, major command commander within the Air Force, it's because of things like that, but not just because he's got an awesome memory, Garrity.
Wrong.
But really, just the type of person he is. If you had time to interact with him, you know he's very down to earth. And most military folks, if you just saw him on the street, you'll see him as the Air Force A1 because he's someone you can come to. He's approachable. You can talk to him about anything, and he is so down to earth. So, sir, thank you for taking it very short notice, and I'll tell you, you did it justice, sir. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
One more time for Kenny, guys. So right now,